A man turns $800 into $350 million in just 2 weeks, claims he's a time traveler from 200 years in the future, then vanishes without a trace. Another appears online saying he's a soldier from 2036 on a mission for an IBM computer, dropping eerily specific details no one was supposed to know. And a guy swears he was part of a secret government time travel project, teleported through hidden tunnels and sent as far as the year 6037. These are forgotten people who claimed they were from the future. In 2003, the FBI arrested a 44-year-old man named Andrew Carlson after the Securities and Exchange Commission flagged him for insider trading. Somehow he turned $800 into $350 million in just 2 weeks. Every single trade he made was just flawless. Obviously, investigators said there was just no way it was luck. In the interrogation room, Carlson claimed he was a time traveler from 200 years in the future, told agents his secret was just knowing how events were going to play out. According to one report, an SEC official said, with an initial investment of only $800, in 2 weeks' time, he had a portfolio valued at over $350 million. Every trade he made capitalized on unexpected business developments, which simply can't be pure luck. He's going to sit in a jail cell on Rikers Island until he agrees to give up his sources. But that didn't happen. See, a mysterious man posted Carlson's bail, and before his court hearing, he vanished. Records later show that Andrew Carlson never officially existed. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, a mysterious figure started showing up online under the names Time_0 and later John Titor. He claimed that he was a US soldier from the year 2036, sent back. His big claims was that he'd traveled to 1975 to grab an IBM 5100 computer, which he said was needed in his time to fix major programming issues. One interesting detail here, though, is that he mentions secret functions of that machine that weren't widely known to the public, which got people wondering, maybe this guy had insider knowledge. Titor said he stopped over in the year 2000 for personal reasons, visiting family and trying to warn people about things like mad cow disease and an upcoming US civil war. He predicted that unrest would start around 2005 and spiral into a full-blown conflict by 2008, eventually leading into a global nuclear war in 2015. Now, obviously, none of that happened, but at the time his posts had entire internet forums hooked. These were still the earlier days of the internet, so stuff like this just wasn't nearly as common as it is now. Al Bielek wasn't anyone most people had ever heard of until he started telling stories about time travel and secret government projects. He claimed his first real memory was from when he was just 9 months old at a Christmas party. He said he could actually understand conversations happening around him. Growing up, he was called a walking encyclopedia, and later got pulled into military electronics work, and that's where colleagues supposedly let him in on classified projects involving aliens, psychic experiments, and time travel. Bielek said that by the late 50s, he was recruited into something called the Montauk Project, an underground program in Long Island that dealt with time travel and mind control. He described commuting from California to Montauk using hidden tunnels and later being teleported directly into the base once their so-called time tunnel was perfected. In the 70s, Bielek ran the psychic operations at Montauk, including the Montauk Chair, a device used to amplify psychic powers and carry out mind control experiments. By the 80s, he said he was fully involved in time travel missions, trips to Mars, back in time to 100,000 BCE and into the future, all the way to the year 6037. In 2018, a man named William Taylor claimed he'd traveled all the way to the year 8973 as part of a secret British intelligence project. He even reportedly passed a lie detector test, which of course doesn't prove anything, but it is rare for people making time travel claims like this. According to Taylor, the future is almost unimaginable. Humans as we know them no longer exist. We've been replaced by human-robot hybrids who live without crime, disease, or death. These beings experience what he described as eternal life and have built a peaceful, advanced society. Taylor also said time travel isn't new. It's been used by governments since 1981. developed from technology reverse engineered from alien spacecraft. Nothing else makes for an interesting setting for a sci-fi movie. David Huggins' story might be one of the strangest I've ever come across, and I love it, honestly. He says he first encountered aliens when he was 8. By age 17, he claims he had a frisky encounter with one, an alien named Crescent with a black wig. Later fathered hybrid alien human children with her. He claims he'd had all kinds of adventures with these alien beings, including time travel, and ever since, he's been putting all these strange memories on paper in the form of paintings. There is a whole documentary about him called Love and Saucers if you want to get more into the weeds with this story. Definitely a very odd but interesting guy. In 2006, a man named Sergei Ponomarenko appeared in Kiev asking for directions to streets that no longer existed in the city. He was wearing old-fashioned clothing and carried a Soviet-era ID, along with a vintage camera full of undeveloped film. He checked his documents and found that they were dated from the 50s, listing him as 25 years old. Then they developed the film from his camera. It was mostly black and white photos from the 50s. There was also a picture of Ponomarenko with a woman he said was his fiancée, and even a strange image of what looked like a UFO hovering near a building. He claimed that as soon as he snapped that photograph, he found himself forward in time. Authorities tracked down the woman from the photo, now in her 70s. She confirmed that her fiancé had disappeared mysteriously decades earlier, and even showed a photograph allegedly taken in 2050 showing an older Ponomarenko against a future. Back in 1995, a guy named Mike Markham called into Art Bell's paranormal-themed radio show Coast to Coast AM, saying he'd figured out how to travel through time using a device based on something called a Jacob's Ladder. Apparently, when he tried building a bigger version, he needed more power than he had, so he admitted to stealing several power transformers from his local utility in King City, Missouri. That theft caused a blackout, and of course, they got the attention of the cops. He was arrested and ended up with 60 days in jail, plus a suspended sentence. The next year, Markham called back, saying he was building a second time machine, this time using legal parts, and claimed it was almost ready. He told Art Bell that he'd already sent about 200 small items and even some animals through the device, and that next, he was planning to travel himself. Well, then in 1997, Markham disappeared. For nearly 2 decades, people figured he'd never be heard from again. Either he was a hoaxer, he died, or he really had traveled to some other time. Project Pegasus is one of those weird, little-known stories about secret government experiments from the 60s and 70s. The idea is that DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, was secretly working on time travel and teleportation. A lawyer named Andrew Basiago from Washington claims he was part of it when he was a kid. According to him, the government had actually built a working time machine based on Nikola Tesla's research, something he said was called a chronovisor. Basiago says the device could send people back and forth in time and even to alternate realities. He claims he went on several missions, one where he witnessed the Gettysburg Address firsthand, and that he traveled to the future to collect a couple strange ones, as if this whole thing hasn't been strange already. But in 2017, a man from Greece came forward saying that after 6 years in the Greek military, he was invited in 2013 to join a top-secret government. Not long after, another anonymous Greek man shared a similar tale. He said that back in 2008, while still a student, a professor approached him with the chance to join a Ever heard of Elvis? Not Presley. Elvis Thompson. No? Well, there's a good reason why this guy's been forgotten, even after his 5 minutes of internet claims stood out, though, to some people, because instead of just like vague predictions with loose time frames, he gave very specific details and dates. The first one he shared was for April 6th, where he said Oklahoma would be hit by a tornado so huge it would stretch 24 kilometers across, with winds over 100 kilometers per hour, way beyond anything scientists have ever documented. On September 1st, he claimed aliens would arrive. According to him, one of them, named Champion, would take 12,000 people away to another planet for protection. Later that same month, on September 19th, he warned of a